everybody, it's Pam with Perfectly Holistic. Today is Thursday, March the 2nd. I cannot believe it's springtime. So I hope you guys are having a great week. And I wanted to welcome everybody watching from Instagram today. We are back for energy testing live, and I'm super excited. I've got 4 kitties to test today. So first of all, if you're watching, let me know you're here and drop a comment, because I would love to acknowledge you and say, hey, Nicole. And I know that Teresa's here from Knoxville. I'm so excited to see you. And I'm not sure who Robbins is, but welcome. Thank you for being here. If you are new to muscle testing, this is going to be a real treat, especially for you guys in Instagram world. This might be something new you haven't seen very often unless you watch Julianne Thorne and I with Naturally Cats once a month on energy test or energy insights. So basically, muscle testing just uses the energetics of the body, tapping in, asking questions. You can root down to find imbalances, stressors, sensitivities. You can root down and find your root causes. Actually, that's what I do every day working with cats. I tend to use a pendulum because pendulums save my fingers, because your fingers get tired if you're muscle testing all day, doing this for hours and hours. So pendulums work just as well for me. Today I'm using a tiger's eye pendulum that is cleansed. And Daria is here. Yay. It's nice to have you here all the way from Buffalo, New York. Yay. Okay, so, and then Hilda's here. Hi, Hilda. Hi, Cheeto. And I am actually starting on Cheeto tomorrow. So he has booked a full health analysis. So we will be getting a lot deeper into his full session. I know, right? Cheeto's an adorable name, and he's an orange tabby. Of course he is. So anyway, Teresa says, okay, yeah. Sometimes the algorithm takes a second to load. So you have to push the actual start the video to get it to start streaming. But yeah, we are here live on Facebook, on Instagram, and YouTube today. So thank you guys for joining me. Okay, so let's dive in real quick. Oh, and let me just say this real quick. If you would like to have your cat tested on a segment like this, we usually do it the first Thursday of the month. So prior to this Thursday, today, we send an email out on Saturday morning that starts the announcement that you can sign up. So if you're not on my email list or you're not following us on social media, you will see these posts. And on Instagram, there is a form link on our link tree in bio that you can actually sign up next time to submit your cat for entry. And on my emails, there's always a link that connects you to that form as well, where you can submit your cat. So just watch for it like the last weekend before the new month starts. So we start taking signups. So anyway, let's get into it. We have got 4 precious little kitties today, and Mercury is first. I am going to share my screen here just a second, and we are going to show you what this cutie pie looks like. Give me just a second to pull up his cute little picture. Okay. So, okay, hang on one second. Hang on one second. Don't you know that they want you to do all these clicks and checks and everything? Yes. Hang on. Okay. No. I don't want you to quit and reopen. Well, we're going to try this one. Okay, first of all, tell me if you guys can see Mercury on the screen, because I am not sure if my browser is letting this through or not. Okay, so you can see. Okay, so that is, okay, this is beautiful Mercury. And Teresa says she just wants to know how he's doing with the new kitten, Zoe. They tend to wrestle constantly when they are together, and he still pins her down. I don't sense that he wants to be the alpha cat in the house. He really doesn't seem to care. He seems more grounded, and she seems more flippant. He's been meowing more and more the last few days, like he's trying to tell me something. So, yeah, it's probably trying to tell you about her. Let's see. Let's see. I am okay, so you guys in Instagram land, I don't know if you can see, okay, this is the pendulum that I'm using. You may not be able to see it on the screen, but I've got this beautiful kitty in front of me. So basically, we want to know, he's talking, are there emotional blocks here? Yes. Whenever my pendulum goes to the count to a clockwise, which is going to look like the opposite, so it's going to look like counterclockwise to you guys, that's a positive. And if it goes counterclockwise for me, then that's a negative answer. That's a no. So I am getting a yes. He's got some emotional stuff, but let's see. Is Zoe a stressor for him? Yes. And that's typical because she's the baby and the newbie. And is she trying, is Mercury trying to talk to Teresa about Zoe? Yes. I'm getting the sense that he's complaining. He's like, will you get her off of me or get her away from me? Let me have some peace. That's kind of what's coming through. So you may want to work with her and make sure he has space to like retreat and be away from her when she's being playful and maybe he doesn't. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. Because she is a stressor, which is normal because she's the new baby. And he's definitely got some emotions related to Zoe, and this is what he's trying to tell you about. So I would sit and observe the two of them and look at his body language when she feels like, or when she's engaging with him, and just observe his body language, look at his eyes, look at his tail. And if he gets up and like tries to get away and she comes after him or whatever, then he really just wants to be left alone. So that's when you just have to be a little proactive and maybe give him his own room, shut the door, and then try to engage with her on your own so that she gets her playtime and her attention and gets an outlet for all of her bouncy energy. That's what I'm picking up on. So yes, he's trying to he's basically bringing his complaint to you. Let's just double check real quick and see if there's any other underlying health condition with Mercury. Are there any health issues going on? No, this is just an emotional. Yeah, he's just being vocal about her. So see, they stared. She says they stare down each other. Yeah, she's, the babies come in and they take over. They upset the whole stage, and that's just how kittens operate. And Mercury's probably like, baby girl, I just want to be peaceful. Leave me alone a little while so I can sleep and don't be jumping on me and don't stare me down. He's trying to set boundaries. He's probably such a sweetheart that he doesn't know how to set very good boundaries. That's what I'm thinking. And she's probably very being a kitten, they tend to be fearless sometimes in some cases. So she's probably being a little bit more aggressive. And he's probably just kind of tired of it. So I know how much you love your cats. What do you think about getting Zoe a playmate? Someone her age, so she might leave him alone. She says they are in separate rooms, but we let them together at night when home. When we give her separate playtime, she pounces on him constantly and then he takes off after her. Yeah, that's why he's talking to you. He's like, I don't want her pouncing on me. I want her to leave me alone. So he's bringing his complaint to you. So bless his heart, but you're doing it right. Just you may just have to separate them at night and have supervised playtime when you're awake and both present and can watch and and intervene if necessary. So that is my 2 cents worth on Sweet Boy Mercury. Okay. um all right, so that was fun. Now we're going to go to Daria and Gaia. I am going to pull up. Let's see if we can do this one. Let's close that. Give me just a second. And let me pull it up. Here we go. Okay. So here is Sweet Gaia, and I'm going to read what Daria submitted. So she says, my only concern for her health and not being confident enough. My only concern is her health and not being confident enough that I am doing the right things for her. I have a hard time trusting local vets since they don't really engage with me specifically on the topic of nutrition and recommending poor diet brands. She's currently eating open farm kibble mixed with tiki cat wet food. I know that dry food is toxic. It is what I can afford right now. It gives me ease of mind since it is healthier than other kibble brands. I try to give her supplements, but she doesn't eat them. Every time I sprinkle something on her food, she doesn't eat it. My plan is to change her to freeze-dried raw food in the future and then fully raw. Gaia has severe anxiety. She gets anxious every time I leave the room. Sometimes I get a sense that she's afraid of me. Either it's me or it's due to the fact that I leave the room often and she just wants me to be with her. So, I have a few questions for you, Daria. Did you adopt her like when she was young or when she was full grown? I'm wondering about the fact that she may have some anxiety around abandonment, or maybe that's not the right word. And I also want to know about vaccine history on her. Specifically the rabies vaccine. If you can drop that into the comments, that would be really helpful. So let's see if there are any. So testing for Sweet Gaia and your anxiety. I want to look at that first because that's concerning. We don't want them to feel anxious all the time, especially when you leave the room. So are there emotional blocks concerning anxiety? Yes. Is one of those abandonment? Yes, actually it is. So did you get her from a shelter or was she rescued off the street? She's got some history having to do with abandonment. And that's probably why she wonders where you're going when you leave the room, because she doesn't know maybe if you're coming back or when you're coming back. So let's keep asking. Okay, so was there a traumatic event in your past? No. Okay. Are there underlying health conditions that you have? Yes. And let's check and let's see. There's organ specific. Is stomach, small intestine. So intestinal health needs looked at. Let's see, is liver? Yes. Let's see, is thymus gland? Yes. Okay, does vaccine resonate? Yes. Does rabies vaccine resonate? Oh, that's a very strong yes. So I feel like, number one, she's got some sort of a history with abandonment and maybe you adopted her and she'd been surrendered or, abandoned or something by previous people. Number two, rabies vaccine resonates. And one of the rabies miasms, for you guys who are not familiar with this, is basically a miasm is a predisposition or a tendency to behave or develop certain illnesses, underlying conditions, and things like that. It's like a genetic tag on your DNA. That's how you're pre-wired if put in certain situations. A rabies miasm in this case, a cat or even dogs can start to exhibit a lot of fearful behavior. Um, Stuff that never bothered them before. Maybe they were pretty happy to go lucky, and then all of a sudden they have become very fearful. They jump at every noise, they hide under the bed. They never did that before. So that's very common in cats with rabies vaccine. So she says she adopted her last year. Oh, okay. And her birthday is September 16 of 2016. She got a rabies vaccine about a year ago and the distemper vaccine on the same day. So yeah, I would recommend working with me to detox the vaccines, because that, contrary to what some people might think, it's like, oh, I gave that vaccine years ago. Well, guess what? Things go on a cellular level that we don't see until maybe even a year, 2 years, 5 years down the road. They start to develop some unusual health conditions or symptoms that are just, like signs. So they don't get better over time, they get worse. So I would definitely do some vaccine detoxing just to eliminate the elements that are causing dis-ease in the body, disrupting homeostasis. So that is the first thing. And then you might see some of that fearful anxiety behavior dissipate, or you should, with the detoxing the rabies vaccine. So, okay, the other thing she says is she's from a 10 Lives Club. I got her from a pet store. They informed me that she was transported from North Carolina, and she also had kittens and was lactating when I got her last year. Oh, baby girl. So yeah, she's had a lot of, I would probably say, traumatic experiences. Just the whole rescue and transportation and shipped across the country. That can be very stressful on a cat. If any of you have tried to move with cats, travel with cats, that can be very disrupting to their stability. They're such creatures of habit. They like calm, they like security. So all of that can contribute to becoming very fearful and distrusting, worried and anxious and things like that. And the fact that she had kittens, some moms are like ready to boot their kids out of the nest, when they reach a certain age. And then some mamas, if their kittens are taken from them too soon, they really miss their kittens, and they'll get very sad. So, yeah, I think, let's see if there was anything else. So let's see if there are any digestive issues. Yes. Is the dry food? Yes. Obviously, we know the dry food. Even if you had to feed her a lower quality wet food, it's going to be better than a dry foods, just because it's moisture dense and it doesn't have a load of starches in it. And I know that Open Farm typically uses a lot of legumes in their dry foods. So that worries me with glyphosate, but let's just see, does glyphosate resonate with her at this time? No. Okay, so that's good. However, legumes can cause a lot of digestive issues. They are considered lectins. They are a sticky protein, and the sticky proteins basically stick to the intestinal lining walls, and so it can block nutrient absorption. The fact that she doesn't like she's obviously got a very sensitive taste buds. So some blocks there to taking her supplements. Um, Energy work can clear those blocks, which is great, and it helps make cats more allowing and receptive to taking their supplements or taking a vitamin or whatever it is we need to add into their food. So that can be very, very helpful. Um, okay, so yeah, those are the biggest things. You just trust that you're doing the very best you can, and we can do some detox protocols for her and get her back into balance as far as the immune system goes, and that goes a long way. And then do the best you can at you know feeding her as much of a wet diet as possible, and that will help her gut tremendously. I'm just checking to see if there was anything else here. um no, I just think the emotional blocks are something that we can also work on with her to help clear some of that baggage. Just like people, whenever we go through a traumatic experience, a tough time, those memories are recorded in our cells, and they will stay there until we can identify them, bring them up, release them. And so the cellular memory of traumatic events is stored in certain organs and tissues and glands. And all it takes is a trigger. And it's most of the time a subconscious trigger. We're not even aware that our body is responding on a cellular level to something, like maybe just as something as simple as you walking out of a room and she's wondering, "Oh my gosh, is she coming back? Am I gonna be left here?" We just don't know what's going on through her mind and what she went through prior. So, one of the things that I incorporate with my optimal cat health analysis is mind, body, spirit release, and that is a technique to identify cellular imprints that result from traumatic events and negative experiences that get buried in tissues and cells and organs, that just a trigger. The body thinks it's re-experiencing that all over again. And even though on the outside everything's fine and we're safe and there's no more trauma, there's no more stress on the outside, but the body doesn't realize that. So that is a beautiful thing about the mind, body, spirit release, and it is amazing what we can do with that. Okay, so Darius says, what are the steps of working with you? What I have on my website is, if you go to shop.purrrfectlyholistic.com under services, there is an optimal cat health analysis. If you want to do a deep dive that includes all of the energy clearing work, the mind, body, spirit release, and vaccine detox, or you can just pick the vaccine detox for now. And that is a totally separate service on that same cat health, and it's under cat health under services. So yeah, we can do whichever you want to do, but that's where I would start with her. So she also says, her rabies vaccine is coming up this month, as well as the FVRCP. I do not recommend getting cats revaccinated every year and a year, over and over and over again. The FVRCP vaccine is not required by law. And given the fact that she's already had at least one that you know of with her last year, she's probably had more prior to that. So, if you wanted to do a titer test to see if she still has immunity, you could go to hemopet.org, I believe. That's Dr. Jean Dodd's site that will do titers. You submit blood sample and they send it off to, I think, Kansas State University or somewhere, and get a test to see if your cat still has antibodies for a particular disease. Now, if Gaia is indoors and she is not exposed to other animals to possibly contract, Kalichi virus, herpes virus, distemper, whatever, then there's probably no other reason to revaccinate her again. So I would just leave it alone with that. Now, I am not a fan of over vaccinating cats, and even the rabies vaccine. revaccinating a cat over and over again doesn't increase their immunity. It just stresses their immune system in a more detrimental way. So you can have tremendous adverse effects. You can have really, really bad reactions. You could cause underlying health conditions to get worse. So I definitely don't recommend going in for another rabies vaccine a year later. There's really no scientific evidence that shows that that is even necessary. In fact, quite the opposite. In veterinary immunology, they have shown that a vaccine can last pretty much a lifetime for a cat. So that's my piece on revaccinating. I don't think it's necessary, especially if she's indoors. She's had at least one in her life that you know of. So that's good. Let's just detox those and keep her healthy, using nutrition supplements and all of that. And we can work together for that. So, okay. Moving on. I hope that helps, Daria. Thank you so much. And I will, let me do this real quick while I'm here. I'm going to drop a couple links into the chat for you guys. That's one. So I've got the optimal cat health analysis, and then I'm going to put the vaccine detox protocol customization in here as well, so that should help you. Okay. All right. So our next kitty is Riley, and Riley was submitted by Mary Ann, and we are going to go in and change. Let's see here. I'm going to go change the image. Let's see what we got. Here we go. Here is Riley. So Riley was submitted by Marianne. She says, Riley is normally a very happy, active cat with a good appetite, but lately he has been showing symptoms of either allergies or feline hyperesthesia syndrome, or both. I chose this picture because it shows his runny eye and how he looks a little depressed. His appetite is not as good as usual, and he doesn't seem quite himself. It comes and goes. Sometimes he's active and all over the place. Other times he's sort of in a trance. He has also been scratching his ear and licking his belly occasionally. So there's a lot to unload in this for Riley. So let's start with, is there an underlying health condition? I'm getting yes. So now let's go drill down and figure out more specifically, is virus involved? Yes. So there may be some viruses. Are allergies involved? No, no allergies. Are vaccines involved? I'm getting a yes. So I want to know more about vaccine history. If you can tell me anything about vaccine history, that would be great, because that's going to give me some direction to go. So let's see. Are there organs and systems, organs that need supported? I'm getting a yes. Is liver one of them? Yes. Small intestines, yes. And then I also want to check and see, are parasites present? No. Licking his belly, scratching his ear. Are food stressors involved here too? Food is a biggie. So foods, I would look at, I want to know what he's eating. Are there protein stressors? No. Is this dry food? Okay, it might be dry food. So that can cause a lot of metabolic stress. And let's see, does pancreas resonate? Huh, pancreas. Pancreas is coming up, and that's probably why he doesn't look so good and he doesn't have a good appetite, because when the pancreas is upset and inflamed, they don't want to eat. You know, it's like having a really bad tummy ache. It's like burning sensation. So a lot of times, well, let's just be honest, all the time, when you have a pancreas issue, it is something that you've eaten. So look at what he's eating. If there's dry food, take the dry food away. if at all possible, or, minimize it as much as you can. I know wet feed is more expensive, and I'll tell you guys something. If you can get your cat over to a gently cooked or even a raw diet, it's going to be less money than canned food because cans have gotten so expensive. So just a little sidebar there. Look at what he's eating because pancreas is definitely being affected here. And the feline is hyperesthesia. When they lump stuff like that into one big name, those kind of symptoms of maybe twitching, the fur twitches on their back, or they get jumpy, they lick a lot, they might scratch some. It's basically showing you that the immune system is out of balance. There is something stimulating the immune system in an unhealthy way, and their body is releasing a bunch of histamine to fight off whatever invader or toxin it thinks is attacking. And so a lot of times this comes from food stress, but it can come from vaccines, from over vaccination. So I would again look at how many vaccines he's had, how, did you do any kind of specific targeted detox measures after each of those vaccines? And it could have been years ago. Like I said earlier, it doesn't have to be last year or last month. It could have been 5 years ago. So yeah, there's a lot to unpack here. If he doesn't want to eat, I would change the food, number one, from dry to a wet, and then change. I did test for protein. So is it a protein issue? No. So it's probably pancreas irritation from dry foods. So take him off dry, put him on wet only. That'll go a long way. And another little tip that you guys may have heard of before is trying something like baby food. You can get a jar of Gerber chicken and gravy, ham and gravy, beef and gravy, turkey and gravy, baby food. And that is such a great little bridge food. I call it a bridge food because cats aren't necessarily ready to eat their regular food when they're having a pancreas flare up, but they might take a tablespoon or two of the baby food because it's so gentle. And then when their pancreas calms down, you can move them back onto their wet food, and they'll tell you when they're ready. Baby food is not a complete diet, but you can certainly do it for a short period of time. The other thing that you could try for the specific pancreas, no, iris versicolor. So there's a homeopathic remedy called iris versicolor. Let's look at that. That sets really, really well for him for pancreas stuff. Basically, you would take 3 pellets from the little tube. Wish I had some in here. Take 3 pellets from the tube of the remedy, dissolve them in like half a cup of water, and you take a syringe and you pull out half a milliliter, so it's very small, and you succuss it really hard, strike against your hand really hard, about 10 times or so, and then just squirt it in the side of his mouth or put it on a little bit of food. That's a dose. And so I would do it twice a day for probably 2 days, 2 or 3 days until he feels better, and then stop the remedy. You don't want to keep doing a homeopathic remedy when the symptoms are no longer there. So you have to really be good observers. That will help address the pancreas quicker. Change the food, try the remedy, and then let's do some vaccine detox. We've got to do something to get his immune system back in balance so that he doesn't have the scratching, the FHS symptoms that you talked about, and licking his belly. A lot of times they lick because there's a lot of histamine flowing through that area, and it's irritating the nerve endings underneath the skin. So that's just them trying to self-soothe and make it stop. But unfortunately, histamine just keeps releasing. It's like when the immune system is on fire from over vaccination and from toxic exposure and flea meds, things like that, it doesn't have an off switch necessarily. So a lot of times this will just get so out of proportion and lead into what's called a cytokine storm, which is just inflammatory messengers running throughout the body. And over time, it can damage organs. And that's what leads to death. So, not saying the cytokines are resonating with this. This is probably not as severe as that, but there is potential if there's too much over immune stimulation to develop that. And so basically we use antioxidants, we rebalance the immune system, you remove the stressor. So in this case, detox the vaccine elements, restore the gut. We've got to get started focusing in on healing the intestinal lining, the intestinal walls, repopulate that good, healthy gut flora. So bring the bad back into balance with the good, because there's always got to be a balance. So that's kind of where I would start with him. And again, if you want to work together, it would be my pleasure, and we can look at the whole picture. And I just want to also check real quick to see if he might have are there emotions here? Yeah. So I'm seeing frustrated. He's frustrated. Or maybe that's you. Maybe you're frustrated, but I'm getting frustrated. I'm feeling that, and I'm seeing that in my head when I'm asking. So yeah, he doesn't feel very good. So he definitely needs some help, and you were in the right place. So I hope that helped with Sweet Riley and Marianne. And Marianne, if you're here, I'm sorry I didn't see any comments. Let me see if you guys are over here in Instagram world. Okay, awesome. Okay, well, I hope that helped. Anyway, okay, we're going to move on to our Cheeto, who is next. And let me pull up, let's see what we got. Let's do a new picture. Let's go find little Cheeto. Look at that handsome. So handsome guy. All right. So Cheeto was submitted by Hilda, who I know is here. And she says there are sniffles, cough, eye discharge, and nose discharge. Bless his heart. He's just having upper respiratory issues, isn't he? So we're going to look at, first of all, is this allergy related? Yes. Is it viral related? Yes. So when cats have an underlying virus, their immune system is already weakened, so they can't mount a normal response to regular allergens like grasses and trees and flowers and things like that. So that's probably what's going on with him. Let's see if there's any other, is it all respiratory? Immune system, yes. And respiratory system, are lungs affected? No. So this is all prefrontal cortex and sinuses. Okay. Let's check the gut. Is the small intestines under imbalance? Yes. So that's the immune system. You know, there's like 80% of your immune system is in the gut. So we've got to always address the gut when we have an immune system issue. Let's see. Is food a stressor? No, food is a stressor. Are vaccines a stressor? No. So virus. Let's figure out which virus is this. Is herpes. Herpes virus is resonating, and that would match the eye discharge and the sniffles and the nose. So he probably, well, let's see. Have you had this all of your life? Yes, he has. So he could have gotten the herpes virus either from his mom or from if he was in a cattery or in a shelter or something like that. It's very common. It's very contagious. If a cat is shedding, then they can certainly be contagious to others. So what can we do for sweet little Cheeto, even though I'm going to do a full health analysis on you tomorrow? Oh, she got it from a shelter. Yeah, so he could have acquired it from there or from his mama. But that's okay. It's not the end of the world. So stuff like With nat myrrh. Ah, that's a great remedy to have on hand. It's a homeopathic remedy, Natrum muraticum. And I would go with it. I'm seeing a 200C in my head. So a 200C for his symptoms. That will help with the sinuses. It will help with the discharge. You know, a lot of times the cough, since the lungs didn't come up, the cough is probably mucus draining. So we can definitely address all of that. Natmer is great. It will fix a lot of those issues. And then giving him antiviral support, like I know everybody tends to go for lysine. Lysine would be, I'm seeing 60% beneficial. So not super great, but you can always add that. The Vira X by Feline Essential is specifically antiviral and it's awesome. So I would just start incorporating that in in your daily routine, you know, at least once a day to help prevent flare-ups. And then obviously keeping the stress levels very low is also helpful when you have cats with viruses, because you know when we're under stress, it's when our immune system gets weak, and that's when the viruses like come out and play. So we got to keep him stress free as much as possible. Keep him on a really healthy diet, and then support his immune system. And you can treat the symptoms easily with homeopathy. Let's see, are there any environmental sensitivities? Are there trees? Yes. Any grasses or weeds? No trees. So trees. Yeah. So trees, things are blooming right now or starting to, depending on where you live. So Hilda wants to know, is Simon a stress for him? And I'm guessing Simon is another kitty, or is it a dog, a pet in the family, or a person? So let's find out. So a family member of some kind. Simon is a stressor for him. Yes, it is. Nicole says, I'm never without Vira X. I know. It's awesome. It's awesome. Let's see here. So yes, Hilda, Simon is a stressor. Whoever Simon is coming up as a stressor. So are there emotions related to that? Yes. Okay, so he says he's the newest cat with 5 and he's needy. Simon. So, oh, bless you for adopting another kitty. So, yeah, when you disrupt a household, no, let me reword. When you bring in a new addition to the home, there's always a little stress involved, and it takes time for the dust to settle and everyone to find their place in the hierarchy, right? So, yeah, of course he's going to be a stressor for now, but hopefully you're doing a great job with the introductions and supervised playtime and interactions and things like that, so that the newbie feels welcome, but your other cats don't feel neglected. So it's a fine balance that we have to do. So if your newest cat is needy, and he's a rescue, bless his heart. Yeah, he's probably just trying to be sure that he's in a forever home now, because he's like, what's going to happen? She also says, is phenobarbital bad for him for his seizures? Are we talking about Cheeto? So Cheeto gets seizures? Is that what you're asking? I want to know why he's getting seizures. That would be my first question. What's causing the seizures? Oh, he's epileptic. Okay. So his brain resonate. Okay, but let's find out why. Why is he? Because cats aren't born epileptic. So we want to know what caused it. So is there some kind of a toxic exposure? Vaccine. It's not vaccine. Is there some kind of a topical medication that he's had on him before, like a flea tick med, something like that? Because those will cause seizures, and it's well documented that it's very common. He may not be using them now, but if he had in the past, that can definitely be linked to seizures. I would want to detox that, whatever that chemical exposure was that was causing this. Um, I can just test to see if phenobarbital is in his highest and best good for seizures. I'm not getting a yes. That's a no, unfortunately. Um, okay, so she says something hit him on his head 12 years ago. Oh, so he had an injury of some kind. Okay. And you don't know what that was. Um, I would probably do more exploring with homeopathy to see what we can try to bring all that back into balance energetically in the brain. But for some reason, the phenobarbital is not testing well. So there might be something else medically that they could look at and we could test to see. So she says at home, I'm not sure, I don't follow your comment. She said something hit him on the head 12 years ago at home caused him his first seizure. Okay. Do you think he was hurt by by a person, or was like an object fell on him? That would be scary if he knocked something over and it hit him. So swelling in the brain or something, that would definitely do it. And I'm getting maybe the toxic whatever chemical coming up was the drugs. Might need to do some detox for that too. So anyway, yeah, we'll look deeply at that in his analysis when I do that. So yeah, do you guys have any other questions over things that we went over today? That is my last kitty. And if not, oh, she says this is more a shower curtain rod hit him on the head. Oh, bless his heart. Oh, that's terrible. I know it's scary. Yeah, that's crazy. So 12 years ago. Bless his heart. Okay. Well, we'll look at that on a deeper level. So anyway, thank you guys. That is all I have for today. I'm excited to be back with you, and we will be back again next month. So remember, the first Thursday of April, prior to that Saturday is when the sign up form goes live, and you can submit your kitty for energy testing live on next month's show. And we select up to 5 cats. So thank you so much for being here. And if you have any questions or you want to learn more about holistic health, you can always go to my website, purrrfectlyholistic.com. That's purrrfectlyholistic.com. And you can find us on, obviously, the channels that you're watching on. Sign up for the newsletter so you can get educational information every week sent out to you. We don't spam you, but you'll also get notifications for events and special things that we do throughout the months. Teresa has a question here. She says, do you have any suggestion for dry cat food? I don't. I'm not a fan of dry cat food for the reasons that we talked about today. It's just not meeting the nutritional needs of cats, and it causes a lot of metabolic stress, even if it's grain-free, grain in. I mean, legumes are processed just like corn, wheat, and soy. It's carbohydrate, it's sugar. It causes metabolic stress and irritation in the gut lining. So that's why I don't. So if you had to use something, I would just grab a freeze-dried food instead. If they wanted some snacks, use that, but carve out some way to give them wet food, whether that's gently cooked, raw, canned, whatever pouches that you can afford to do, because that is so foundational to their health. I mean, diet, you can't out supplement a bad diet no matter what you do. We've got to start with nutrition. So that is really the best way to do it. So Mario says, do you also do energy testing for dogs? Asking for a friend. I do. I don't advertise that. but it is an option on my website. So yes, it's a dog health analysis. Don't tell the dog people, please. I'll be overwhelmed. But I do take a few dog clients. I have quite a few. So anyway, hope this was helpful. Does anybody have any other questions before we wrap things up? What about anybody here on Instagram? Hi, Diane. Nice to have you here. It's hard managing like 3 different platforms here because they can't be on all on the same screen. So thank you guys so much for being here. I guess we're good to go. So with that, we will sign off. Thank you, and we will see you next time on Energy Testing Live. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Thanks again.